So you want to keep African cichlids?
Yeah.
And you have only a specific amount of room?
Yeah.
Well then maybe you should watch this video. Disclaimer, everything I say is not 100% that's what you have to do. These are my recommendations based on the research and the time that I've spent with African cichlids. Now, you can go and find a ton of other information all over the interwebs, but this is my best recommendation for keeping African cichlids healthy, happy, colorful, and saving you money and stress and heartache from some issues you may encounter. So one of the #1 things I tell new fish keepers is choose the selective size aquarium that fits in the space that you want it to go in. Now you're not gonna get a 6-foot tank and try to squeeze it into a 3-foot space. So if you choose the tank first, then you can choose the specific species of fish you wanna keep. In this case, it's African cichlids, and we're gonna go over 15 gallons all the way to your 8-foot tanks. One of the neat things is there's a wide variety of African cichlids, to include lakes. You have Lake Tanganyika, Lake Victoria, and Lake Malawi. Malawi seems to be the most popular when it comes to full spectrum talking about African cichlids. But Lake Tanganyika is quickly catching up. Victoria is kind of that, off to the side, but really cool fish that very selective people keep. But did you know that you can keep some African cichlids in a 15-gallon tank? Yes. Shell-dwelling cichlids from Lake Tanganyika are a perfect fit for a 15-gallon aquarium. Doesn't mean you can't keep them in a 6-foot tank, but it just means that if you've got a space for a 15-gallon aquarium and that is what you have to work with, then I would highly recommend you check out shell dwellers. So you got space for a 40-gallon breeder. Awesome. So you can keep a few different fish from the African cichlid realm. You can keep shellies, of course. You can keep certain community fish from Lake Tanganyika, your julies, your sips. There's quite a few fish that you can fit into a 40-gallon breeder. Also from Lake Malawi, you can keep Pseudotropheus or Mbuna. Colorful, savages, need to be tightly packed or packed in terms of, lowering aggression, which is where I think we got you have to crowd African cichlids to reduce aggression. So if you've got a 40-gallon breeder, you got some choices. You've got Lake Tanganyika and you've got Pseudotropheus Mbuna from Malawi. So you got 2 lakes to choose from. How awesome is that? And it turns out Lake Tanganyika is actually the 3rd oldest lake in the world. Oh, you got a 55-gallon aquarium. Well, kind of opens the doors a little bit. It's still 48 inches, but there are quite a few fish that you can keep from the African cichlid realm. You can keep shell dwellers, you can keep a community from Lake Tanganyika, you can keep some Mbuna, you can keep buffalo head cichlids, you could probably keep some Lake Victoria cichlids, but I would kind of shy away from most of your peacocks, most of your Haplochromis. However, if you have that space, you're not gonna crowd it, and maybe you wanna get a breeding group of some Alnacara peacock, then absolutely a 55-gallon would work. I wouldn't do too much else. However, you can get really crazy with some Mbuna or Pseudotropheus in a 55-gallon. Everybody loves peacocks, right? So if you've got a 75-gallon or more, then peacocks are gonna be the perfect choice. I wouldn't put much else in a 75-gallon in terms of Haplochromis unless you're doing a Lethrinops style, group that you're gonna try to breed, but a 75-gallon or more is perfect for peacocks. Now remember, peacocks are brightly colored, they have beautiful fins, however, they can be on the aggressive side. So don't go crazy in terms of stacking a ton of rocks in there, but keep it nice and open, pack it in a little bit, and you'll find that peacocks will give you the colors, the fun, and the personality you were looking for out of African cichlids. So it turns out your space is opened up and you've got room for a 6-foot tank. Well, you're in luck because a 6-foot tank is perfect for any African cichlid, to include the larger Haplochromis or haps. Now, if you want to keep predators, that's perfectly fine. Just remember that they can be on the bigger side and some of them can reach sizes up to 14 inches. So 6-foot tanks, anything you want to do. So I think it's time to recap. I think we need to talk about all of the things in terms of African cichlids and what you can keep in what tank so that you don't forget. Because you don't want to make these mistakes now, do you? All right, so you've got a ton of information in one video, right? So here's the deal, 15 gallons all the way to 800 billion gallons. You can keep African cichlids. My recommendation is just make sure that you have the right tank with the right fish. It's only gonna set you up for success. Now, doesn't mean you can't do whatever you wanna do, because honestly, you can. But if you're looking for the absolute best foundation for keeping African cichlids, then this is some of the best information that I have aggregated myself, that I have learned myself, and that I can provide to you. Doesn't make me an expert, just means that I want to help you and make this community a better place for keeping African cichlids. So remember, 15 gallons, shell dwellers. 40-gallon breeder, shell dwellers, and some fish from Lake Tanganyika, and possibly some pseudotropheus from Lake Malawi. 75 gallons, perfect. You can keep some smaller haps, you can keep peacocks, and you really can keep anything from Lake Tanganyika, minus your bigger fish from Lake Tanganyika. Now, you've got a 6-foot tank or larger, perfect. You're keeping anything. However, you probably cannot keep the emperor cichlid from Lake Tanganyika unless you have a 400,000 gallon pond, because that fish, if you didn't know, can get up to 2 feet long. 2 feet long. Emperor cichlid. Check it out. We'll leave a link in the description of where you can find that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope this gives you an opportunity to make a better decision becoming a new fish keeper. I know it's helped me along the way, and hopefully it helps my son along the way when he's ready to start maintaining his own aquarium. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, watch some others. Leave a comment. Let me know what the biggest mistake you made in terms of tank size when it comes to African cichlids. You know what's next. Holla!
Hi!